Hey everybody. So this is part two to my adoption story. Yes, I do see that I am wearing the same shirt that I was wearing last time. Um, I tried to make this video before this and it didn't go well, but I was wearing a different shirt then. so had stopped at my deficiencies that I had when I was a baby, when I was born, and those were due to the alcohol and drugs that was done to me when I was a baby. But I will just go ahead and just say it was really the alcohol because that's what I would just say. Because my mom had me, but my father's, could have also whatever he was doing could have also affected me as well. But um, that was a big thing that had actually worried my adopted parents when they were raising me because of my alcohol syndrome and me having ADHD and having to take pills. I had to take pills throughout my life for till I was maybe in high school. Um, and I stopped taking them in high school because I got to the point where I could control my hyperness and all of that on my own without pills. But I do remember throughout my life from 5 years old up until about 15, 16, taking pills. I believe it was 15 when I stopped though. Um, and I also remember a time where I got in trouble because I was not taking my pills, because what my pills did to me was the pills that controlled my ADHD or ADD, which I believe was ADHD, was they helped me concentrate in school. But they also the bad side effects of that was they prevented me from eating any food. So I didn't eat anything. I didn't eat anything until the pills wore off. I was also very quiet. I did not talk. I was just very to myself, even though I am introverted. I mean, when I tell you I was like, it was people, everybody thought I was depressed. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't sad. It's just the pills made me very quiet, very just, very not very entertaining. Um, so yeah, I do remember that, and that was to control the ADHD or ADD, and that I still have today, but I can better control it now. I do have times where it gets out of control, and sometimes I can't really control it, or I'll do something. I'll be like, "Oh, you need to control yourself. You need to calm down." But I'm very good at maintaining it. So yeah, the person who put me up for adoption was my aunt Geraldine, and she put me up for adoption because at the time she could not take me in. She was caring for my grandmother, her mother. I believe she was also caring for my father's father, her father. She was caring for a lot of people. She was also caring for um, who else was she caring for? She was caring for a lot of people. She couldn't take me in. On my mother's side, her parents were just at that age where they didn't want to take any other kids in, and I don't believe any of my other aunts and them. I honestly have no idea what their story is on that. They told me when I found them last year that they were working hard to get my mother to take me in, and she just was not right. So I guess they just didn't do it. I don't know why they didn't take me in, but I haven't really asked that question, and I'll have to ask that so I can come and let you guys know. But I have wondered why, because they were never really in a bad position. They were never really in a position where they could not care for me. So I kind of want to know why, or what was the reason for that. So that was always another interest, been very interesting to me. Um, so my name before I was adopted was Anthony Don Powell Lacey, and that was my name before my name changed to Taryn. My name changed to Taryn uh, because I had another brother named Anthony, and we call him Tony, but his name was Anthony. So having two Anthonys in the house was kind of confusing, so they decided to change my name to Taryn. I believe now, from what I always knew, my brother Tony had changed my name to Taryn, but I think I recently asked that question again, and somebody told me that he didn't. But I really believe he did. I believe he did. Um, do I still go by the name Anthony? Yes, I do. But my adoptive family does not call me Anthony. And there are some people in my biological family, like on my mother's side, that call me Taryn. All of them call me Taryn. My mother is the only person who calls me Anthony because she named me Anthony, and everybody on my majority, 95% of people on my father's side call me Anthony, and I am, and I allow them to call me Anthony because I am still Anthony. Um, and some, like my brother Sean Wilson, he calls me AT. My brother Gary and Leonard Jr., they call me Boots. So there's all kinds of nicknames out there for me. So yeah, and my sister Lisa, I believe she calls me Anthony too. Because when I went down there to see everybody, they asked me what I wanted to be called, and I told them, call me what you want to call me. But they're like, no, what do you want to be called? And I said, call me Anthony, or call me AT, or something, But my, further down on my mom's side, they call me Tay Tay. And I think that's the cutest name. They call me Tay Tay. And that's my nickname there is, hey Tay Tay. So Tay Tay is my nickname. Or they'll just be like, Tay. So I think that's cute. It's really good having these moments with my family and being able to actually talk about things and memories that have actually happened with them so far. So, growing up, I can only really remember one time, not real one memory. I remember a couple memories. I remember, being in Texas. I don't know where we were. I think we were still in San Angelo or on the military base, but I remember going to see some Christmas lights. I was about 4. It was 1999, and I was with my sister Janie and my mom, and we were just out, looking at Christmas lights, and I remember that. I remember going to her appointments in Texas when I was young, and she'd have to go to doctor's appointments in Texas. And I remember blowing up the little balloons. I remember that. That was fun. I was just talking about that recently. Yeah, so that was really nice. But growing up, other than those memories, when I had moved to North Carolina, I was told that I was adopted at 5. My parents continuously doubt that they told me at 5, well, my father really doesn't know. My mother, adoptive mother, tells me that she always told me this story about coming from the baby store and always, knowing about the family. She did say that. She did. But they also called me in the room when I was 5 and told me I was adopted. And at the time, it wasn't really something that I really cared about, I guess, or something that really affected me. So I just was like, oh, okay, and walked away or ran away or whatever. Kept on with my life. As I got older, I started to get more curious, and as my adoptive mother, continuously showed me pictures of my sister and my mother and my father, because that's the only pictures I had at the time. Now I have tons of pictures, but she showed me more pictures. So I started getting more curious on, who my family was, where I came from, and more on who these people, were. I didn't pay a lot of attention to, you stepped on a frog. Oh, I hope you didn't kill it.
No, it turned over on us.
Oh, okay.
And then it
That's my cousin Jasanti, y'all. But, as I, saw more pictures and everything, and, as I, got to see more, and as I got older, I started to, get more curious on things. But I've always wanted to know where I came from, growing up. Everybody would ask me, Taryn, where are you from? Who's your family? Do you know your family? And I'd always tell them, no, I don't, because when I would look up my family or search for them, when I tell you I've been searching for my family for years, I was searching for my family since I was like 7. But see, I had nothing. I had my files, and at that time when I was young, what's interesting is when I was very young and I looked for my files, I remember there was this one time where I was looking for my files and I found them, and my mom, my adoptive mom, had looked and seen that I had gotten my files. I got in trouble. I got in a lot of trouble. She said, "What were you doing?" I said, "I was looking for my files. I was looking." She was like, "No, you don't do that. No." So from there, I never looked at my files again. 7, never looked at them until, I don't think I looked at them again until I think I may have looked again when I was 15, and then maybe went back. And I know I went back when I was 18, maybe 17 or 16, but I know 15 is when I went back. But ever since I got in trouble, I never went back. My mother had asked me one time, she was like, why didn't you ever look in your files? Your files are right there. I said, "Mama, I got in trouble last time I tried to look for my files, or in my files for that information. You got mad at me." And she was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah, I was young." Um, so, I mean, it was just a time where it was hard for me to find information on them. When I would look up things, I would find only little bits and pieces of things. My grandparents' names, some of my aunt's names, my sister's name, my biological parents' names, all of that. However, that would be it. I wouldn't find out there was nothing on when they were born, nothing on their historical background or anything, nothing. So I couldn't really get into that. So it wasn't until I did the Ancestry DNA and all of that where I could really get deeper into certain things. Um, However, growing up, and as people continuously asked me about things, my father wasn't a good man back in that time. He was all about himself, okay? And I remember looking at a picture of him, and every time I looked at a picture of him, I just told myself, I said, he never wanted me. He had never looked for me. He had never did anything like that. And this is what I had thought, okay? And I was like, since he denied me and then finally confessed to having me by the time I was up for adoption, if I was to ever see him on the street, he wouldn't even look my way. He wouldn't even do anything. The whole family wouldn't want me. So when I found out that my family wanted me and that they were looking for me and that he was looking for me even after he denied me and everything, you would not believe the surprise and the joy I had with that. So part 3, I will go more into everything else, and I'm excited for you guys to learn more. Bye, guys.